In 2023, a plastic bottle of colored water sold for over $1,500 on eBay. It wasn't wine, it wasn't perfume, it was Prime, the viral energy and hydration drink launched by YouTube superstars Logan Paul and KSI. A drink that sold out everywhere. A drink kids begged their parents for. A drink that turned two internet entertainers into billion-dollar businessmen, almost overnight. But just 1 year later, Prime was gone. Shelves emptied not because of demand, but because stores stopped stocking it. Sales collapsed by more than 70% in some regions, and what was once the symbol of YouTube success became the case study for how hype can destroy a brand. This is the full story of Prime, its unbelievable rise, its sudden fall, and the brutal business lessons hiding behind the most viral drink in internet history. Let's rewind to early 2022. Logan Paul and KSI, two former rivals who once punched each other in front of millions, did the unthinkable. They became business partners. They had what every company in the world wanted: influence. Together, their combined reach was over 100 million followers across YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. But this time, they weren't selling merch. They weren't selling NFTs. They were selling a drink. The idea was born out of competition. Gatorade dominated the hydration market. Body Armor had just been acquired by Coca-Cola for $5.6 billion. But no brand had truly captured Gen Z and Gen Alpha, the kids who live entirely online. That's where Congo Brands came in, a company from Louisville, Kentucky, run by two businessmen, Trey Steiger and Max Clemens. They had built brands before, Alani Nu, 3D Energy, but nothing on this scale. They provided the logistics, the supply chain, the manufacturing. Logan and KSI provided the attention. Congo owned 60% of Prime. Logan and KSI split the other 40% between them. And in January 2022, they launched Prime Hydration to the world. The announcement was a masterclass in digital marketing. The duo went live on Instagram. Over 300,000 people tuned in simultaneously. That's the population of a small city watching a drink get unveiled. Within hours, the website crashed. Within days, the product sold out. And within weeks, stores couldn't keep up. It wasn't just popular, it was a phenomenon. In the UK, parents lined up outside Aldi stores before sunrise just to grab a few bottles for their kids. Videos went viral of store employees being mobbed as they restocked shelves. People started reselling Prime for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars a bottle. At one point, a single bottle of Prime Hydration reportedly sold on eBay for over 1,200 pounds, roughly 1,500 US dollars. And this wasn't a joke. There were bidding wars for flavors like Ice Pop and Blue Raspberry. It became the new Supreme hoodie. Owning Prime meant you were part of a cultural moment. Kids brought it to school like trophies. YouTube Shorts, TikToks, and Instagram Reels were flooded with Prime reviews, Prime hunts, Prime hauls. Teachers started banning it from classrooms. This was no longer a drink, it was status. By the end of 2022, Prime had done the impossible, over $250 million in revenue from zero in its first year. But that was just the warm-up. In 2023, the brand exploded. Prime Hydration officially crossed $1.2 billion in sales. Let that sink in. A product created by two YouTubers outsold some flavors of Gatorade and Powerade, brands backed by global corporations. The company poured millions into sponsorships. They signed a massive deal with Arsenal FC, putting Prime on one of the most visible jerseys in the Premier League. Then came the UFC partnership, making Prime the official hydration partner of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, replacing Body Armor, a Coca-Cola subsidiary. Every UFC fighter now had a Prime bottle beside them during press events. Every octagon corner had the Prime logo. It was everywhere. And Logan Paul's words summed it up best. We're not just building a drink, we're building a global empire. And for a moment, it looked like he was right. But behind that success was a formula more powerful than the drink itself: scarcity and hype. Prime used a strategy straight out of the Supreme playbook. Keep supply intentionally low. Fuel demand with influencer culture. Turn a simple product into a collectible. When stores ran out, demand didn't fall, it skyrocketed. The harder it became to find, the more people wanted it. This was classic psychology, scarcity bias. If something is hard to get, our brains assume it's more valuable. And for Congo brands, this was genius. Because every time Logan or KSI posted a video, demand spiked again. Even the Prime logo colors became recognizable status symbols. Kids would collect the bottles, line them up on shelves, post photos of their Prime collections. It was a marketing dream. The problem? Dreams don't last forever. Flush with cash and confidence, Prime made its next move. Prime Energy. Unlike the original hydration drink, Prime Energy was an energy beverage with 200 milligrams of caffeine per can, roughly equal to 6 cans of Coca-Cola or 2 Red Bulls. The issue? The branding looked almost identical to the caffeine-free hydration drink, and the audience, still mostly kids, couldn't tell the difference. Schools began reporting students showing up jittery or sick after drinking multiple cans. In Australia, Canada, and the UK, authorities started pushing back. Health departments warned parents about the caffeine levels. Some schools outright banned Prime Energy. The narrative flipped overnight. From the coolest drink in the world to the dangerous drink for kids. And when parents stop buying, the shelves start filling up. By early 2024, the numbers told a different story. In the UK, Prime sales dropped by 50% year over year. In the US, shelves that once stood empty were now overstocked. What was once impossible to find could now be seen in clearance bins for under $1. The core problem was simple. Prime wasn't built on loyalty, it was built on attention. And attention is the most fragile currency on the internet. Once the hype wore off, customers didn't come back. Because the truth is, most people didn't like the taste. Critics said it was too sweet, chalky, chemical tasting. Even reviewers who loved the hype admitted that once they tried it, they rarely bought it again. As one viral review put it, it's like someone melted a popsicle into a protein shake. And when repeat customers vanish, even a billion-dollar business starts bleeding fast. Prime's target audience was young, too young to form lasting brand habits. These were 10 to 15-year-olds chasing internet trends. And trends move faster than any factory. By late 2024, the same kids who once collected Prime bottles started mocking it online. Memes called it cringe. TikToks showed kids pouring it down drains. Gen Alpha had moved on. And as they aged out, there was no new audience to replace them. Because unlike Gatorade, Prime had no performance credibility. Athletes didn't need it. They were paid to hold it. Parents didn't trust it. They thought it was unhealthy. And adults? They'd already found better options. What was once cool now felt childish. Prime wasn't just losing market share, it was losing identity. By the first quarter of 2024, wholesale orders slowed down, especially in the UK and Australia. Retailers started reporting unsold inventory, and discount stickers began appearing where sold out signs used to be. In the US, shelves that once carried 1 or 2 bottles per customer were now overflowing. In the UK, supermarket chains like Aldi and Asda moved Prime from their premium placement, right next to Red Bull, to the regular drink aisles. It wasn't Prime Energy, limited to 1 per customer anymore. It was Prime, buy 1, get 1 free. The drop was shocking. Industry reports suggested Prime sales were down nearly 70% year over year by mid-2024. That's not just a slowdown, that's a nosedive. And just when Logan and KSI needed some good PR, they got the opposite. In mid-2024, Prime was sued in California. The lawsuit claimed the drink had dangerously high caffeine levels, false advertising around hydration, and allegedly misleading marketing targeting minors. This hit hard because Prime's marketing always leaned heavily on Logan and KSI's YouTube audiences, which were mostly teenagers. Parents were furious. School districts even started banning Prime bottles on campuses, and health authorities were forced to issue warnings. One of the key allegations? That Prime Energy contained 200 milligrams of caffeine, about the same as 2 Red Bulls. But the branding looked almost identical to Prime Hydration, the caffeine-free version. So kids were accidentally drinking energy cans thinking they were buying the hydration drink they saw their favorite influencers promote. That lawsuit spread like wildfire across social media. Clips of senators calling it irresponsible marketing went viral. And for a brand built on trust through creators, the trust was suddenly gone. Up until that point, Logan Paul and KSI were bulletproof marketers. They could turn anything into gold, whether it was boxing, NFTs, or energy drinks. But now, they were being accused of selling hype over health. Commentators began calling Prime the next Fyre Festival of drinks, and that hit their personal brands directly. Logan tried to defend it on his podcast, saying, "Prime is safe, fully tested, and backed by real science. People are just looking for drama." But by that time, the damage was done. Parents stopped buying it for their kids. Schools banned it. And the internet moved on to the next viral obsession. Whether that was Celsius, Ghost Energy, or the new creator wellness drinks popping up in 2025. Behind the scenes, the distribution overload. The irony is that Prime didn't fail because it couldn't scale. It failed because it scaled too fast. Congo Brands, the company that actually produces and distributes Prime, had gone all in. They expanded manufacturing in the US, Canada, and the UK, ramping up output expecting demand to double again in 2024. Instead, it collapsed. Warehouses started piling up unsold stock. Distributors began offloading inventory to clearance stores and gas stations at heavily discounted prices. The exclusivity, which once fueled Prime's desirability, was gone. Even most devoted fans noticed the taste seemed inconsistent. Some batches were waterier or too sweet, leading to rumors that Congo Brands was cutting corners to save costs. Whether true or not, the internet ran with it. Here's the brutal reality. In 2023, Prime claimed around $1.2 billion in sales. By the end of 2024, that number reportedly fell below $400 million. Still big, but a massive collapse for a brand that was once seen as the next Red Bull challenger. Social engagement told the same story. Google searches for Prime drink dropped by over 80% between mid-2023 and late 2024. The official Prime Instagram, which once gained hundreds of thousands of followers per month, barely grows now. And most of their posts average under 1% engagement, a clear sign that even the fan base stopped caring. So where does Prime stand today in late 2025? It's complicated. Prime didn't disappear. It's still on shelves. In fact, it's now a mid-tier sports drink brand competing with Gatorade, Body Armor, and Celsius. But the aura of scarcity, hype, and exclusivity? That's long gone. Most major retailers still stock Prime Hydration because of the name recognition, and it sells decently in the US and UK. But the energy line, once its most viral product, is now fading. Multiple countries have now restricted its sale to adults due to the caffeine controversy. Even Logan and KSI barely promote it anymore. Their recent collaborations focus more on individual projects and less on Prime. Congo Brands quietly restructured its partnerships, diversifying away from creator-led beverages after the crash. They're focusing now on sustainability and rebranding, trying to keep Prime relevant without the influencer chaos. So was Prime a failure? Not exactly. If you judge by hype, reach, and short-term revenue, Prime was one of the most successful beverage launches in history. It proved that influencer marketing, when executed perfectly, can rival billion-dollar companies overnight. But it also proved that hype alone doesn't create longevity. A product can explode because of fame, but it can't sustain because of it. Prime's story is a perfect reflection of internet culture itself. Instant virality, zero patience, and an attention span shorter than a TikTok clip. Prime's rise and fall shows a brutal truth. Attention is currency, but it's also debt. You can borrow it for a while, but eventually you have to pay it back with quality, trust, and consistency. Maybe Prime won't ever reach those heights again. Maybe it'll survive as a mid-shelf drink, quietly making a few $100 million a year. Or maybe it'll reinvent itself under a new image, like how Logan reinvented himself after every scandal. But for now, in 2025, the hype is over, the lines are gone. And that $1,500 bottle, you can probably get it for $1.50. Because in the end, Hype burns bright, but never for long.